All right, episode 49 of BoarderLine. We will celebrate next week with number 50. Do we get rings or something like that when we get
I
to
don't
the?
know. That's pretty upsetting that we're a week behind or an episode behind ACL inside the ACL or whatever
I
it
know,
is.
because I felt like we only took like a couple of weeks off, and I saw
I
that they're on
thought
number
we
50
started the
already.
same week they did, but somehow
I,
they're at 50 and we're at 49.
I think they're
So
cheating
they snuck one in on us somewhere. That
because
is
I thought we did
nonsense.
one over the holidays that they didn't do.
I'm telling you, I think they snuck one in on us somewhere.
Yeah,
They're lying about their number, but
and well, you know what? Technically this is number 50, I guess. Not officially, but technically it is because we had a couple of previews that we did, not previews, a couple of bag reveals that we did. Like I don't think I counted. Well,
yeah.
I think I did count Matt and Jamie as an episode, but I don't think I counted Eric and Timmy as an episode. So technically, I think
So
that.
hey,
Wait a second,
woo!
and remember we did our very first episode with
Yes,
Stacy Moore. And it was just a what do you
yeah,
call it? Not a trailer. It was just like a demo.
right. It
So
was
technically,
our pilot
our
episode.
pilot, yeah, it was our pilot episode. So technically, I think we're actually at like 51, but
Yeah.
whatever.
So
We'll celebrate
suck
that.
it inside the ACL. You're
Suck
behind
it.
us.
Oh man. So you and I, let's just get right into Meet Jeff and Bernie.
Okay.
2 words: moving sucks. And you and I were just
Moving
talking about this. And
sucks.
in all seriousness, I mean, not that I'm an old guy, but the older that I get, the harder that it is. And you were just saying that, since you and Julie have been through this whole thing, this whole debacle with your guys' condo or townhome, and getting ready to move, it puts you in a funk. And I feel like I've been in a bad funk. We sold our house, made money, which was nice. We were excited, but it's like that honeymoon lasted a split second because then we had to move out of there, put everything in storage, had to move into an apartment for the last 6 months. We had a lot in Myrtle Beach we were thinking about building on. Decided to stay in Charleston because we love it here, and one of our daughters has moved here. And not, when Noelle comes home from college, she's going to want to come home and be here. So
Yeah.
we decided to stay in Charleston. And so we find this house. So now we had to get everything out of storage, move into this house, boxes everywhere. And I get it, hashtag first world problems, but it doesn't make it easy. It really sucks. I mean, it really, there's a reason why it's one of like the biggest 5 relationship stressors, right? Like
Yeah.
divorce, money. I think moving is one of the top 5.
Without
It
question.
sucks, man.
Because look, I'm kind of jealous of you in a way. Like we're trying to get to that point we can sell it and make some money because we're having to spend a lot of money
Yeah.
that we don't really have. I mean, it's kind of all on credit cards and kind of fingers crossed we get it back when we sell, right? I mean, it's very stressful. However, I will say if you get a chance, it'll make you feel better.
Okay.
Go watch This Is 40 Melissa McCartney bloopers. The
This is
outtakes.
40.
Yep. It's when she just goes on this rant, and it is the most profanity, violence laden rant ever, and it is hysterical.
It sounds funny already.
It's the funniest thing you will see, and she's going and you can see the other actors trying to keep a straight face, and they can't do it, but they keep it rolling, and she is just laying into people, and it's like that has to feel so good just to let that loose.
Yeah. I
And
feel
then
like I feel like I want to do that. I'm getting very grumpy, and I'm getting this close to. I think I told you the debacle with Best Buy, didn't I?
yeah,
Yeah, backing into the pillar. I can't remember what I've talked about when I have. I mean, I am this close to absolutely just going off on somebody.
yeah,
That would
right.
feel really good.
I mean, just letting loose. It's funny you say
Yeah.
that. I had a stepdad way back in the 70s, early 80s. He yelled at everybody. Just constantly yelled at everybody that was in some sort of field of work where they were customer service based. He
Yeah.
laid into those people, and it was awful to be around. But man, he must have felt pretty good, actually.
I bet he did get all that. See, Kathy, not that Kathy's that way. She doesn't yell at people, but she says that when you do stuff, and she's a nurse, so I trust her obviously. When you do stuff like that, there is a physical benefit to someone who does that because you get it off your chest and you get it off your mind. So you're right. Maybe it helped him in some strange
She's
way.
probably, she's probably taught. I've read studies, and it's, if you've ever been to a funeral, not to be that way, but if you've been to a funeral and you see the 2 or 3 people that are just so upset, right? Screaming, crying, loud, they tend to deal with it better because they're getting it out. They're letting it all go, where the people that are being stoic and trying to, take it all in and be there and, blah, 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 they tend to hold that a really long time because it's not getting out. It's staying in there.
Yeah, they're processing it. Yeah.
Right. Even though it may be embarrassing, right? And it may seem like it's a little over the top and, not socially okay. They probably feel better 3 months down the road compared to the person who's trying to be stoic and, but
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. I wish I could be that way. I'm kind of in between, I think.
I hate funerals. I really,
Who
obviously,
likes funerals?
I know no one likes them. I get it. No one likes funerals. But I really don't like, I really like my uncle. He would never go to anyone's funeral.
I'm that way.
He would go pay his respects and at the graveside, but he would never go to a funeral. And
I've been to a couple.
As I'm getting older now, I'm like, gosh, I don't even know if I want to. Like my mom's this way. My mom does not want to have a funeral. If everyone wants to get together and have a brunch or a dinner or something like that, a celebration of life thing, she said she's totally cool with that. She does not want to have a procession and a viewing and all this stuff at a church and all that.
100%.
And I'm like, hey, I don't blame you. I'm not sure I want that either. It's awful.
100%.
When my most recent experience with that was my grandmother, and we were super close. And when she passed, it's weird because and not to get religious, because this will open up a huge conversation that's going to take longer than what we have. Maybe we can do it on the next episode. But a lot of people think that your spirit obviously leaves your body, right, and goes somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And when my grandmother, I don't know if I've ever really thought that before. But when my grandmother died and I went to her viewing and I saw her laying there in the coffin, it wasn't her. It was not her. It was just this empty shell of skin and bones. And her, because she had such spunk, and she was about 5'1", maybe. And she had such spunk and life and energy, and she was into everything. She loved that I played the drums. She loved that I learned how to ride a skateboard. She would take my bike and ride it up and down the street. When she came, she just had, just this great, spirit about her. And when she was laying there in the coffin, it wasn't her. It's like she was gone. She was totally gone. It was so wild to see.
I was on the bed when my grandmother passed away. I was with her when she passed away with her last breath. And at that moment, looking over at her, instantly changed. You're right. It was not that person anymore.
Yeah. So do you believe
that's bizarre? I don't know. I mean, obviously something's different because whatever life force was there in that last breath went away, and the complete complexion in her face, her skin, everything changed. And she wasn't healthy. Obviously, she had been in kind of a semi-coma anyway, and it was at home. And, my cousins, I have, there's 4 cousins, 3 girls. The oldest, Johnny, I'm the youngest boy, and there's 3 girls in between. And one of my cousins was like, it's so typical. She had to wait till the 2 boys were there. We were there the whole time doing all this stuff for her, and she had to wait till the youngest boy finally showed up before she passed on. But it was just kind of funny. But that wasn't the same person 5 minutes later. It just that was not even it's not even a human being anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly what I'm talking that is about. A skin shell. Yeah, it was weird.
She was not there. She was not there. She was gone, just like what you're describing. It's interesting because Kathy, we actually could have Kathy on an episode of BoarderLine, because she, being a cancer nurse for about 20 years, you talk about heavy stuff, and there's a lot of people. I might have talked about this before on the show. I can't remember, but there's a lot of people, like you're talking about being at the bedside. That does happen. You have family and they come and they're with you as you pass. But what Kathy told me, and she opened up my eyes to this, there's a lot of people who don't have family.
Oh yeah.
And they die alone. They die in a hospital bed of cancer by themselves. They don't have anyone to call. And so she would sit there, not just her, but a lot of nurses would be there, and they would sit by them. And she said it's just so strange because, within an hour or so of them passing, they would look up and they would see somebody in the corner that they knew. before they pass away, and they'd start calling their name out. Not hollering it, but saying their name out loud. I mean, she has some wild stories of being with people in the room as they passed away. It's crazy.
The human brain is quite fascinating.
I know. So our guest today,
speaking of human brains,
just popped up a cue. He's probably like, "What the hell is going on in the show?
Talking
this
about?
This got deep quick."
Yeah,
we went from talking about Ethernet speeds before we hopped on to talking about funerals and death. What the hell's going on?
Amen.
So far, so good. By the way, that's the the anxiety that I have
Jinx.
with this. Yeah, I shouldn't even talk about it. But the anxiety that I have with these shows because of the technical stuff behind the scenes, and so we have not gotten the hardwire Ethernet hooked up yet. So with just two people, it's been fine. Now, as soon as our guest logs in, watch, all of a sudden we're going to lose our freaking Ethernet or our internet action. So
well, only one way to find out.
We'll see. So, all right, are we done with Meet Jeff and Bernie? That got deep quick. That was a legit Meet Jeff and Bernie.
I enjoyed that one. I mean, it's truly fascinating. I mean, I've watched, God, I don't know how many documentaries on quote unquote, near-death experiences, and then hearing people discuss those. I mean, I think at some point the species of humans will get to a point where they know the brain better. I think we know more about the moon than we know about our own brains.
It is fascinating.
You know what I mean? So it's one day.
Here's just to show you how fascinating it is. I saw something about if you're trying to remember something, our brains at the very basic function, it works like a Rolodex. So if you can even come up with a first letter of something, you increase your odds by maybe it's like 60% for remembering something.
That's what dreams are.
At its most basic function, your memory acts as a Rolodex, at very, very, very complex Rolodex. So that was fascinating.
They say that's what dreams are, is your brain reshuffling, kind of reorganizing the Rolodex, kind of reorganizing the cards in there. And that's why people will have dreams, and this random person they haven't seen in 20 some odd years shows up in their brain. Hey, brain's just shuffling, just kind of resetting. Wow. So that's what I mean. One day as a species, we'll figure out the brain, and then we'll move on.
That'd be scary.
We'll move on to the next level at that point. Yeah.
All right, time for this week's guest, and we've been wanting to have this guy on for a while, and finally get a chance to get him on. He finished the 2022 season, one of the top 10 players in the world. Had I don't know if you can really call it a breakout season, because he's been on top before. He was the 2019 ACL World Champion. He won a shootout stop this year. He has 4 career ACL titles. He is from Lakeland, Florida. And I tell you what, just on a personal level, one of my favorite guys in the sport. As a play-by-play guy, quote unquote journalist, it's always great to have someone, especially when you haven't played a sport at a high level, whether it's football, basketball, or even obviously cornhole for me. It's great to have someone to go to that you can just ask stupid questions to. Right? Like in the very beginning, I felt that way with Jamie and Noah. And now Tanner has become another one of those go-to guys for me, where I can walk up to him and just ask him a dumb question that maybe 256 pros, know off the top of their head, but I don't know. So he's kind of my go-to guy. He's never made fun of me. He's never judged me. He's just a great guy to go to behind the scenes. He's become a great friend. So please welcome to BoarderLine for the first time, Tanner Halbert. What's up, Tanner?
How y'all doing?
Doing
good,
well,
man. So, hey, thank you so much. By the way, so obviously we can all see you're in your car, and we'll start off with this. I mean, Tanner, this is one of the great things I love about the sport of cornhole. For those of you who don't know, many of the players there's becoming more and more now who are able to do cornhole full time. And Tanner, maybe you're getting close to that, but most of the players, and Bernie, I don't know, maybe it's 90%, maybe more, have real jobs. So Tanner's one of those guys who has a real job. Yep. So, hey, I appreciate it, bud, taking time out from your lunch break in your car to join us today.
Yep. Coming here from the work truck on my lunch break here at one of the city parks. So
how bad, speaking of, how bad was it for you guys in Lakeland? Obviously, Hurricane Ian kind of rolled right through you guys. How's it been?
It wasn't too bad where I'm at. We're pretty far inland. So, I mean, of course, we got the wind and the rain, and trees down, that sort. Myself, in general, though, at my house, no damage. We had some limbs down and stuff, nothing crazy. So obviously here we didn't have anything like Fort Myers, anywhere down that area. That was just catastrophic, and that's what the storm surge will do.
Yeah.
We're pretty far inland. We don't really have to worry about a storm surge or anything. The high winds is really what gets us here, taking down trees, because Lakeland there's a lot of trees here,
Oh yeah.
and falling on people's houses and stuff. So we were fortunate though. No damage at my house, and we never lost power actually either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are the lines buried?
Some are, some aren't. Where I'm at, no.
Huh.
Wow.
Actually, it's behind my house. Mangled through the trees and everything. Somehow we managed to never lose power though. So.
Right on.
Yeah, that's impressive. Hey, Tanner, off the bat here, let's tell everybody what you do. You are a city inspector for the City of Lakeland. So just give us kind of a quick elevator speech of what exactly it is that you do every day, because I know you put in long hours every day on top of playing cornhole at a high level.
Yeah, my day consists of, I do inspections on driveways. We do right-of-way inspections. We do commercial site inspections, subdivision sites. So a lot of our stuff is site work, drainage, all that stuff falls under the site work and the right-of-way work. And then driveways, we have a certain standard in Lakeland that if you do a new driveway, you got to pull a permit and it's got to be built to a certain standard. So we go out and check it before you pour it, make sure you have it railed up the correct way. And then when you get done pouring it, we come back out and do another inspection, make sure everything was done the way it was supposed to be done.
I'm smiling because I bet there have been a few times in your career where you are the most hated man in the world, because we actually had an experience, not us personally, but in our neighborhood, where there was it was actually a new home, and they wanted to kind of tweak the driveway a little bit. So they changed the driveway and changed it quite a bit, but didn't get it permitted. And the city made them come in and basically tear the whole thing up.
Yep. Yeah.
So hold on. Real talk. Has there ever been a moment when someone's been like, hey, keep it fair. Here's a little bit of something on the side. Let's just say you didn't see what we've done here. I mean, has that ever happened? Has it ever been offered? Put it that way. How about that question?
I've never really had it offered to me. I've only been in this position about probably a year and 2 months or so. I was in the construction field. I did sidewalk repairs, and I work still with the city, but I was on the construction side doing sidewalk and tree work and driveways, and doing the construction side of kind of what I do now. So it went hand in hand basically.
Well, Tanner, I'm so proud of you for the year that you had, because I know how hard you work, obviously, in your job that you're just talking about. All of us behind the scenes know your awesome wife, Kat Halbert, who works for the ACL. So I know she's busy all the time. You guys have a couple of kids. I know how busy that can keep you, obviously, firsthand experience. And on top of all that, your game went to a whole new level. Well, I shouldn't say a whole new level. Like I was talking about, you've been there before. I mean, 2019 world champion, but I think it had been a minute before you were probably on top like this. And I know you wanted more wins this past season, but before we get into the nitty gritty and some other topics that I want to discuss with you, how did you feel your season went? I mean, I know you're disappointed you wanted more wins, but if you can just kind of recap your system or your season, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, the season overall was good. I'm happy with the way everything went. I played well pretty much all year, other than a couple events here and there, and that happens. You're not going to play your greatest every time you get out there. But overall, though, it was a good year. It wasn't great, but it was good, and I was satisfied. Obviously, I didn't get nearly as many wins as I would have liked to have. Got close several times, but just never closed anything out other than the one shootout there in Kansas. So obviously this year coming up, the goal is going to be to try to finish out and get some more wins. Just push through and get over that hump.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like how hard is it for someone like yourself? Because when you start looking at talent level, you get to a certain point, all you guys, for the most part, I mean, it's kind of hard to nitpick talent, right? I mean, you're all so good. And what makes someone that can get on podiums consistently is just that extra, it's almost a millimeter's worth of consistency. Like, is that what you're trying to find in your game? Just that one? Because, I mean, think about how many bags you throw in a particular game, one that gets away. It's not a whole bunch of bags that gets away. It's one or two bags out of 100, 200 thrown.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be so hard to kind of rein that small level of consistency in.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard. You're always going to have that one or two. The main thing is reining in those, getting rid of the 5, 6, 7 bad throws you have. If you can tone it down to 1 or 2, you can manage it.
Right.
But if you give up 5 or 6 bad rounds or bad throws, I mean, the game's over. Especially
right.
if you're playing a high level player. And for me, the way I look at it, I mean, like you said, once everybody gets to that level, it's kind of, to me, it's who's playing the best that day, and who gets a little bit of a lucky here or there, who's got the luck going their way a little bit. But
you felt that in Salt Lake City, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
That bracket final, that was a little unlucky.
Yeah. It goes both ways. I've had it go my way and I've had it not go my way. So, and I believe that eventually it'll fall my way. It just got to be the right time and place.
Tanner, that was one of the greatest things that I think I heard you say to me in one of our pregame interview sessions was, hey, this is just like any other sport. We're all good, and you got to catch a break. It's no different than in a football game, right? We talk about offensive stats, we talk about defensive stats, but at the end of the day, the big thing is always a turnover, right?
Uh-huh.
And you got to catch a break. In baseball, the same thing. I mean, the World Series is about ready to start. We're going to be talking about offensive stats, and the big thing that is unpredictable is errors. You got to catch a break. And I loved it when you told me that. I thought it was such a real opinion that in cornhole, it's the same thing. You're all so good. Sometimes when you're playing a Jamie Graham, a Matt Guy, a Noah Wooten, whoever, Eric Davis, I mean, the list goes on. You got to catch a break.
Yeah.
You have to catch a break.
For sure. Get that one bag maybe that they accidentally slipped off the back, or you get, you got your 4 bags in, they go for a collect, and, they clog up, and you get a few extra points. It just, you need that break or two that gets you over the hump.
I think that's such a healthy mentality. I feel like it maybe helps take some of the pressure off of you. Does it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not somebody that plays with a lot of pressure to begin with. I just feel like I've been playing this game way too long. I'm going on probably close to 10 or 11 years since I first started playing. And, it just, I don't try to play with a lot of pressure. I mean, I do put pressure on myself because I know how I should perform. If I don't perform that way, then, I get upset with myself. But just the pressure of like people watching and stuff like that, I don't really have that anymore just because I've been around so long. But the only pressure, I guess you could say at times I have, is just the pressure that I put on myself when I'm not performing, when I know I can, or I'm not performing like I should be.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one more thing too, Bernie, let me just jump in real quick.
Yeah.
With this experience you're talking about, Tanner, another great thing you told me this year that Trey and I actually talked about on the broadcast is that your experience, it gives you experience on the boards. I get it, and in situational throws and in the crowd. But something that you said that I never thought of before is that you said that when someone gets on stage on that broadcast stage for the first time, whether on ESPN, on CBS, you can even feel the heat from the lights.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that. That's so descriptive. I never even thought about that. I mean, just another thing that you have to get used to.
Yeah, no, it definitely, that heat, there's a lot of heat often. But I sweat to begin with. So if I'm playing out this work, I'm sweating, but I get out there under that heat, man, and I'm for real sweating then.
All right, I'm going to change speeds real quick. It's been kind of going around. It's kind of this new thing everyone's doing with some of the pros. Outside of yourself, who is your favorite player to watch? And then second part of that question, who's your least favorite to play against?
My least favorite to play against right now, it was probably Mark or Jamie. They've got me the last few times I played them. I did get Mark there in Kansas in the shootout. But just in general to play against, my least favorite right now is probably them two. So they've got me the last few times. And, I think about that, when I go up to play, I'm like, man, this guy's beat me the last couple of times. I'm ready to whoop him.
Right.
And
so who's your favorite to? I mean, because apparently this is kind of going around now, and players are kind of getting into this. And obviously, it's you and it's a small group of people that everybody likes to name, but you have to take yourself out of it. Who's your favorite player to watch?
Oh, I've never really thought about this.
Is it a dirty player or is it a slide player?
Jeff.
No, I'm not going to this.
If we're gonna go a dirty player, I'd say probably like to watch somebody like Tony.
Yeah.
Because the things he can do, and I don't ever see that because I don't play that game. The roll shots he can hit. I know there's a lot of people that can roll, but I feel like Tony's one of the better ones, one of the more consistent ones, and it can do the hard cuts, that come all the way out, and your bag be right in front of the hole, and it just kind of falls around your bag on the other side. Like, how in the world does that happen?
Yeah, how do they do that? I mean, I understand how they load it in their hands, but I can't do it if my life depended on it. How do they do that?
It's the way they hold the bag and the way they release it, and there's a lot of different things. I've thrown the roll a little bit here recently. I'm not very consistent with it, but I have executed it a few times. So if we get sticky boards, you might see a roll or two out of me.
With your bags, you can roll it?
I have out of the ones I have right now, I do have one that's a little bit slower. So if the board, last year the boards were sticky quite a bit, most of the season. So I think even if you're playing with a faster bag, the boards are going to be sticky. If they are sticky, then it's possible that it could happen.
All right. So since you brought it up and we're talking about bags,
here we go.
We had Mark Pryor on a few weeks ago, and just kind of talking to him about his strategy on players that he signs. I'm sure he would have loved to had you back. I'm sure you guys talked a lot about it. You decided to go down a different road. So as a player, we've tried to talk about this a little bit, Tanner, in some other episodes about, it's basically year to year. So every year you guys are becoming free agents with what bags you're going to throw. It's a huge decision to make.
Yeah.
And there's now becoming money involved, and that's something that Mark talked to us about. I mean, it's all of a sudden it's a lot of money that these bag manufacturers are putting up to sponsor players. Yeah. So at the end of the day, why did you decide to not sign with Ultra and make a change? I mean, how difficult was that decision for you? Especially because you're going to, it's AAR, right? Who's making their own bags now?
Yes. Yep. We've signed a deal with AAR for the year. But we went back and forth several days with Ultra. There were several conversations back and forth. Partners, there were certain people they wanted me to play with, and I really didn't want to. I kind of told them who my options were. I said it's this person or this person, and that's the way it's going to be. That's who I want to play with. I don't want to play with anybody else right now, at least. That's just kind of who I had my mind set on. And at one point in time, they didn't agree with me. So it just ended up being that, AAR came to us, and they wanted to give me a deal with one of the people I wanted to play with. So that's kind of where it ended. I mean, Ultra they wanted to give me a deal with who I asked, but ultimately it just came down that we had a better deal with AAR.
How about the fact that bag manufacturers are trying to manipulate teams? I mean, I find that fascinating. I really do, because I mean, they're doing it, right, Tanner? I mean, bag manufacturers are coming to people and saying, look, we'll give you X if you play with Y.
Yep, that's exactly how it was.
I mean, that's crazy.
Didn't Jason McCandon kind of start that whole thing by trying to put Jamie and Matt together? Wasn't he the one who kind of pioneered this whole new
especially the high end
wave of forced marriages?
Yep.
And that's tough. That's tough. I mean, forcing someone to play with someone. I mean, look, you've got a partner in Easy that, you had such chemistry with for years. It's got to be tough if someone comes to you and says, hey, I know you guys are friends. I know you've played together forever, but we're going to give you this if you dump him and go with this other person. That's got to be a tough conversation.
Yeah, that's basically the way it went. And, I told him, I said, that's not going to work with me. And ultimately we didn't come to any kind of a deal, and there's no hard feelings. He's a businessman. He's doing what he thinks is best for his business, and I'm fine with that. I got a good deal with who somebody I wanted to play with AAR. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Hey, Tanner, I want to ask you a tough question, because going along the lines of you playing with Eric Zockline, and again, you guys have been together for a long time, and I know you guys are super close personally as well. However, and I'm sure Easy, if he was here right now, he would say the same thing. I know he feels like he's let you down many times. And there's been many times that people have watched your guys match, and after a loss, they will walk away saying, boy, if Tanner was only with XYZ, look what would have happened. And again, I know it's a tough question. And this is no dig on Eric at all. How much did you guys talk about that, if at all? And how difficult was this decision for you guys to stay together? Or is this just always going to be you and Easy playing together?
We haven't really talked much about last year. We had a good year. There was moments where we looked like, nobody was going to beat us. And then we had our moments where, we lost games that we shouldn't lose, but, it happens. He's been practicing a lot. He has a building at his house, so he practices a lot. And he's been working on everything. So, but as for our partnership, I told him, I said, if I don't play with you, I'm going to be playing with Jordan. And me and Jordan play everything local together. We play regionals together. We play conference together. And me and Jordan were trying to play together, and it just didn't work out. He got a deal that it was hard for him to turn down. So we ended up not playing.
That doesn't have anything to do with your sister, does it?
No.
Whoa! Wait a second. What?
Jordan,
I'm missing something on this.
Jordan's getting married to my sister.
That's your sister?
Yep. Yeah, man.
Oh,
come on in.
Gosh!
Come on into the inside.
All right, now we're talking.
One of them, yeah, one of my.
When are they getting married?
They get married in January of 2024.
Huh. Well, okay, good. Hey, speaking of Jordan, again, not to take another turn on here, did you guys ever talk about what happened with him? A year, what was that? A year and a half ago now? I mean, does that ever come up? Has he been honest with you? And I know he's been remorseful, and I know he's said and done all the right things. I mean, do you guys talk about that anymore, or is that
we haven't talked about it anymore. We talked about it after it kind of first happened a little bit, and he was down for a while about it. He didn't realize how bad the repercussions were going to be for something like that. And you live and you learn, you make mistakes and you learn from them, and he's learned from them, and he did everything he was supposed to do. I feel like to get back in, he stayed designated ACL. He traveled to a bunch of tournaments. He even came out to the National there in Vegas for the ring ceremony, which he didn't have to do. So, but we talked about it, a little bit after it happened, after everything. And he just said, I've learned my mistake, and that'll never happen again.
Yeah.
All right. Another curveball. Ready? Now I'm going to go back to you, Jeff, because Jeff loves talking about, is it more fun to watch someone just slide hole for hole, or is it more fun to watch a dirty player play? We've had a pretty consistent group of people that have said they like to watch the dirty style game. However, you don't play that way. What was it about your game when you started playing that you were like, I just want to put as many bags in the hole as I can. I don't want to play this block game unless I absolutely have to. What was it about your style, your mentality that said, I want to play this way, even though some other people are playing this other way?
I guess the main thing is I was taught, you put more bags in the hole than they do, you're going to win. I mean, that's just basic math. But when I first started playing, obviously there was a bag with the real sticky side and it had the slick side. So back then I threw the sticky side and I was a harder thrower. And once they started coming out with some of these slicker bags, I was testing them out, trying them out. And then ultimately I fell in love with an all slide and played with it for a couple of years. And I just got used to that, the softer throw and not having to force everything. And I felt like, my body would last longer too. You got to them bags.
Such a good point.
Some of them real sticky bags, they're throwing them things hard. And your body, especially if you go on a long run, I mean, your arm and your body's got to get tired from that, I think.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't experienced it in a long time and throw hard, but man, I feel like throwing as hard as they do and doing the different motions they do with their arms to get it to do what they want to do. I just feel like that's got to wear you out. I mean, I already get worn out enough just doing what I do. So
it's almost like a pitcher, right? I mean, at some point you got to put yourself on a pitch count because you are going to hurt elbow, shoulder eventually.
Yeah. No, I mean, doing what I do, I hurt the next day. So, and usually for me, it's like my feet or my back just from standing up and walking so much. Not necessarily my arm, more so my feet or my back, just from all the walking and standing.
Especially on the concrete.
Yeah, the concrete is the worst, the absolute worst.
Yeah, Tanner, along those same lines, I guess my opinion has always been, and one of these days a player will come along, and I think Tony Smith is real close. That might change my mind. I just feel like to win at a championship level consistently, it's going to be really difficult for a dirty player to do that because there is way more margin of error for that type of game than what you play, than what Matt Guy plays, than what I classify Jamie as more of a in the hole type of guy. There's some debate on that, but you get my point. I think with a dirty player like an Eric Davis and a Tony Smith, it's going to be really hard to win multiple championships at a high level consistently.
Yeah, I agree with you. There, especially on the rolls and stuff.
Yeah,
they don't always roll right in the hole. I've seen it where they have rolled all in the hole, or they keep rolling to the left and the right, and it's setting me up for easy points. And there's been games where I've played roll guys and I've dominated them because their roll wasn't working. And there's been games where I've lost to roll guys and even had really close games with them because their rolls were working. But if they're not working, they're not efficient, and you set up a lot of time you set up bumpers for these guys that are just sliding them in.
Yeah, another good point. I guess my analogy, and I always make baseball analogies because that was my world for so long. It's like a knuckleball pitcher back in the day. When that thing is working, you cannot hit it. But God forbid that thing is dead one day, you won't even last 2 innings. I mean, I've seen guys, with a knuckle type of ball go 7, 8, 9 innings, no problem whatsoever if it's working. If the wind's right, whatever. If it's not right, I literally give up 4 home runs and he's done after an inning and 2/3.
Yeah, it's bad.
And that's kind of what I feel about the dirty game.
I think that there's going to be a player, and I don't know who that player is, that's going to be, and I think Jamie is the closest to it right now. That's your 5-tool player.
Yeah, I actually thought Matthew Creek-Killer. I thought Matthew Creek-Killer was maybe going to be that guy, but I just didn't see it last year.
He's consistently dirty. I mean, as a player, it's so funny. If someone's watching this and they have no idea what we're talking about, calling someone a dirty player, right? That's just going to come off so wrong. Yeah. But I think Jamie's the closest right now that he can go hole for hole with somebody sometimes. I mean, I think when you watched him play against Mark Richards at the World Championships, and he kind of tried to go hole for hole with Mark, and it just didn't work out. He wasn't able to stay there.
Found out Mark wasn't missing there.
Yeah.
But I've seen him again with Creek Killer. I've seen him go hole for hole. I know he can do it, and I feel like he could be a quote unquote 5-tool guy if he wanted to be. I think he has that ability. And you're right, Bernie. One of these days, there's going to be that guy that comes along and does that. All right, hey, I know you got to go here in a couple minutes, Tanner. So real quick,
real jobs.
And I'm I know. Hey, you've been in this game, and I tried to ask Stacy, and I'm sorry, I hate to blindside you with this question. I should have texted it to you just beforehand when we were texting, but we tried to get Stacy Moore to answer this question, and he kind of dodged it. He's the commissioner, I get it, but you've been around the game for so long. You've played in different leagues. I mean, you've won at a high level. You've won a world championship, top 10 in the world. Looking back in the last 10 years, what do you like about the sport of cornhole? Like, where do you see it going? Like, what do you like? And is there anything in your mind that you want to change? Like, are there things, and I'm talking specifically not about TV, not about business, not about, that kind of, about specifically the play, or maybe the technology of the bags, like something, specific like that. Is there anything you want to see change? The scoring, timeouts, and anything like that? Do you and Kat talk about this at all?
I mean, for me, I feel like everything's going pretty good the way it is. I know I know this year they've shortened up the shot clock on in between shots. I think it went from 20 to like 12. So that's a pretty big 8 seconds. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Take off.
Yeah.
So, and I know there's already been controversy of people calling that out. So I think that'll be interesting, especially I've heard of talks about possibly putting like a live shot clock on live broadcasts or the broadcasts. So that'll be pretty interesting too, to see if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, they have clock operators in other sports, in football and basketball. Now, the ACL, I get it. We don't have an unlimited budget to have clock operators at every table, but I mean, they have shot clocks in other sports.
I can't wait till we have an incident and the person forgets to reset the shot clock.
Yeah, it happens.
Right. And like someone's going to forget to hit the button for like 5 seconds, and then that person's going to take their 12. Oh, people are going to lose their minds.
I want to know if the shot clock's going to have the buzzer on it at 12 seconds.
Scare the shit out of everybody.
Dead bag.
Yeah, but that happens, Bernie. I mean, how many times? I mean, you and I are huge college basketball fans. I mean, I can't tell you the number of college basketball games that I broadcast, and invariably, it always happens at least once or twice a game where the clock will reset as soon as it's supposed to reset after the ball goes through the net. The other team takes out of bounds, starts coming up the court, and all of a sudden, the person forgot to reset the clock.
It's shocking how it's always the home team that gets the benefit of that late in the game too.
Yeah, but Tanner, that's a great point. I love that with the shot clock. Anything else? I mean, I know you got to go here, just a minute left, but like you like the 12 rounds versus first one to 21. I kind of like that we play two different games, just like in baseball with the DH and non-DH for years.
Me personally, I kind of like the 12 rounds. It's different. It's a lot of people don't like it, but it's definitely different. I like it. It makes you play a different game, especially the people that like to, I guess you could say, block or whatever a lot. If you miss those blocks first couple rounds, you're gonna be chasing the rest of the game now. So I like the 12 round games. A lot of people hate them or whatever their feelings are for them. Yeah, but they're different. I like to play them actually, and I've done pretty well with them for the most part. I feel like I've played well in them for the most part, but they are different. I like to and you see people win that normally don't win or make it to TV, because they have those. Yeah, they get good for enough rounds to get up, and then they just survive.
Yep.
It can happen. It happened this year a couple times. So.
All right, bud. Hey, I know you got to go, so we'll let you go. But thank you so much for your time. Hey, where are you playing? Are you going to Illinois this weekend, or where are you playing next?
I will not be at anything until Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Yeah, the hurricane messed us all up. That I was supposed to be in Rock Hill, and then I was planning on going to Louisville, but then Catherine, it ended up being on the same weekend of the big benefit tournament she does in Virginia for the Shriners. So I went there with her. And then, I won't be at anything until Virginia Beach. That'll be the first Open for me. And then obviously we'll be at Myrtle Beach as well. But
Right.
New Year's in Myrtle again.
Yeah, again.
All right, man. Well, hey, I can't wait to see you. So I guess I probably won't see you till Myrtle Beach. So I'll see you then. But seriously, Tanner, thank you so much to you and to Kat and everything you guys do for the league. And just on a personal level, thanks for being that guy I can ask dumb questions to, kind of my go-to guy. But have loved getting to know you and your family. And I can't wait to see you guys again. Thanks, bud.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
See you, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, Tanner. We'll see you later.
All right, we'll see you.
What a good dude.
Yep.
Seriously, gotta have those guys. Hey, speaking of which, we only got a couple minutes left, but speaking of benefits, so Frank Modlin is coming to Charleston this week. I forgot to tell you that. Yeah. So we're doing a cornhole tournament / chili cook-off for our office on the real estate side.
Thanks for the invite.
And well, I didn't think you'd want to come. You
I love Charleston. What are you talking about?
Well, come on
there
down.
For 10 years,
Bring
man.
some chili and come on down. So I was thinking that,
dude.
I mean, these people in our office, in our real estate office.
I actually can't. I've got the football tour. I'll be in at Penn State, Ohio State.
I knew you'd be busy. You're always busy. That's why I didn't ask Trey either, because I know he's probably busy too. He's going to some Clemson game probably. Yeah. Hey, we had fun last weekend, by the way. Clemson. That was a great weekend. But yeah, so the people in our office, they absolutely love watching the broadcasts on TV. They love the sport. They love the ACL. One of the guys in our office who I think you know, Stuart Duvall, he's like one of the heirs of Bush's Beans.
So, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and he's a great guy and great family. So anyway, so I thought, man, if I could get like an ACL pro there, that'd be great. So I was trying to think like who I could call.
Frank's perfect.
So I thought, okay, well, Jamie and Kaylee and Frank are probably closest to Charleston. Get down here in a few hours. Jamie and Kaylee are actually already playing an event here in Charleston, the Chucktown Baggers or whatever they are.
Yeah,
they've got an event on Saturday. They couldn't come down early, but Frank wasn't going to Illinois, so Frank was like, yeah, he's like, I can make it. So Frank's coming down on Thursday to play in the cornhole tournament and do like Q&A, and we'll do a raffle and give him some money to Basket Brigade. It's a charity here in town that gives money to the Low Country Food Bank for Thanksgiving dinner, so it'll be fun.
Look at you, man. Way to go.
I'm not doing anything. You know I suck. So I'm
just saying, but I mean, did you help put it together?
Well,
I mean, you got
Frank there, yeah, and organize the raffle and try and raise some money.
Look at you.
Yeah. But yeah, Tim Walter, our broker in charge, he and Linda Raudebush, I mean, they're kind of putting the whole thing together, but it'll be fun.
It will be fun. Actually, I got to get down there, man. I miss Charleston so much. It kills me, actually.
Yeah, it's great. I'm glad we're staying. It's a great place. You know, the other crazy thing about cornhole is that I'm finding fewer and fewer people who have never seen a broadcast. Like, isn't it pretty cool for you guys to think about that?
Fewer and fewer. I mean, there's still.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely run into someone who hasn't at least watched it a little bit on TV, whether they like it or not, whatever, but who haven't at least seen it.
You want to know what an awkward conversation is? When someone asks you what you do, and then you try to explain it, and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then they walk away. Yeah, I still get some of those sometimes. Yeah.
It's the worst. It's like, you really haven't seen it? It's on like 3 networks. Okay.
Yeah.
See ya.
I've had a few of those where as soon as I say, oh, yeah, and I broadcast cornhole too, I'm like, what? Oh, they're gone. Yeah.
I don't have a TV. Okay, well, cool. Good talking to you.
Right,
We've got nothing in common.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, good luck with everything you guys got going on. And episode
one day, man. I think we're getting closer and closer. I think we're a couple weeks out from when the folks get in here and redo everything. So
good. All right. Episode 50 coming soon.
All right, buddy.
All right, dude. Have a great week.
See ya.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. See ya.